Lakes and ponds are frozen, and that means anglers are looking to catch some fish living right below that surface.
This week in Fish and Wildlife, we share some safety tips you'll want to know before you auger that hole.
This week in Fish and Wildlife, sponsored by your local Montana Toyota dealers.
Thursday morning time once again for This Week in Fish and Wildlife. This morning we're out on the edge of the East Gallatin Recreation Area. Joining us this morning, Sergeant Matt Weppel. Matt, there's some folks out ice fishing. This is a great time of year to go do that, but you are suited up for some things that maybe we should keep in mind if we're going to do this.
Talking about in general, ice fishing season is underway now. One of the things you want to be sure of is the condition of the ice. Before you even worry about the equipment and everything else, should you even be on the ice? If we've been having good cold weather, early and late in the season is when ice can be most dangerous and most unpredictable. So you look at the ice reports for the areas you're going to. You know, depending like up in the mountains, usually ice conditions are pretty good. Out on the prairies, say along the Rocky Mountain front, for instance, depending on what the wind conditions have been doing up there, it can warm up fast and can change ice conditions overnight, depending on what the temperature changes and so forth. So you want to really make sure you can usually judge the color of ice. It will tell you what kind of condition it's in. If it's blue, usually it's really good. If it's dark, grayish colored, could be sketchy, could be a little unreliable. There's also different thickness levels that can tell you what it's safe for, what it's not safe for. If ice is about 4 inches deep, you're good to go out by yourself with some gear. 5 inches, that's good for a group of people to spread out, you know, with their tip-ups and several rods and get you know, cooking some breakfast and enjoying the day. If it's going up about 9 inches, you know, you can take an ATV out on it. 9 to 12 inches is what they say is good for vehicles. I do not recommend, nor does the agency recommend, taking vehicles out on the ice. That's something you do completely at your own risk. That's I think for obvious reasons. You know, we just can't recommend that.
We've scoped out the ice. We've checked it out. There's still always a risk. You have a couple pieces of equipment on here that, just as a precaution, should something happen. I like what talk to me about the little mini life jacket and then we'll get into the orange probe there as well.
Sure. Yeah. So obviously, it's highly recommended you wear a personal flotation device when you go out on the ice. You know, you never know when you're going to go through. If we would know those kinds of things, we wouldn't have to worry about safety gear, right? So this is going to save your life. You're going to be already dressed up in heavy clothing. Once that gets soaked, that gets wet, the ability to move and get up out of the ice hole is probably nearly impossible. But PFD is going to be one of your life-saving factors because it's only going to take a matter of minutes, if even a minute, before you start being overcome by the elements and the frigid temperature in the water. The other thing that's good to carry, and it doesn't cost much at all, are these little ice picks. You can carry them around your neck. And basically, these both go one in each hand. You fall out, you know. Big important thing to remember is you go through the ice, throw your arms out to your sides. And if you get these ice picks in your hands, you just jam them into the ice, and you can use them to pull yourself up out of the ice like that. Real inexpensive, you know, can save your life.
You mentioned, kids, this is a great activity to do as a family. You can come out and make some hot chocolate, spend a great day enjoying Montana's wilds and that. But if you're going to take your kids, keep an eye on them. Absolutely.
You know, do not leave children unattended. Make sure they're wearing personal flotation devices. Always have good accountability of where the young folks are at.
Thank you very much, Matt. And that's This Week in Fish and Wildlife.
This Week in Fish and Wildlife was sponsored by Toyota. Let's go places.